to make a corner to corner blanket, what you're going to do is you're going to take your working yarn and you're going to start with a slip knot. And now you're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what you're going to do now is you are going to start making some double crochets into the 4th, starting with the 4th chain from the hook. And we're basically making a little group. And this is our first little grouping. So I'm going to yarn over and let's just take a closer look. So 1, see that V shape there? That's our first chain from the hook. 2, 3, and 4 is this one over here. So we're just going to be going into the back loop there and then pull our yarn through and pull our yarn through 2 loops and 2 loops again, making our first double crochet. Then we're going to do a double crochet into the next chain and then the next. So we'll make our first grouping. So our next double crochet. And that's our 3rd double crochet. Okay, and I'll let you look at this in a little closer detail. So that's our chain, the chain 3 part we've got remaining there, which is equivalent to a double crochet. And then we've got our 3 double crochets along here. So this first group, this first little cluster, is actually the corner of our blanket and essentially row 1. So we're going to do row 2 now, and we're going to start every single row, bearing in mind we're working on the diagonal. This is our very corner here. Every single time we start a row, it's going to be chain 6. So let's make chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And again, we're going to double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, the 5th chain from the hook, and the 6th. Okay, now you're probably thinking this looks ever so weird, and that's okay. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn our work slightly. So I'm just going to turn this. And if you remember, this is the first group we did is actually a corner of our blanket. And this is the tail of the yarn where we started. So you know this is the outer corner, okay? Which gives us a little bit of a guide. So we're going to fix in here into this chain space. So I'm going to yarn over and just pull through, slip stitching that together. So looking at our first row, you can see at the moment they're going horizontally. These double crochets, they're lying this way. And the one we've just made, they're going vertically. And you're going to find this pattern as you work through the corner to corner. You've got horizontal right next to your verticals. Okay, so now what we're going to do for our next part of row 2 is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to use this horizontal part of row 1 to do 3 double crochets around. Okay, so into this chain space here. So first double crochet, second, and third. And there you can see, got these ones going horizontally and then these vertically. Okay, so that essentially is row 2. So now we're going to be working on row 3, and if you remember, we start on a chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now don't worry about which way this is going at the moment. We're just going to do our 3 double crochets, 1 into chain 4, 5 and 6 of what we've just created. And there we go, we created our next little group. Now don't be worried if you want to keep practicing these little groupings. You can pull your work undone and practice a few times before you get into the flow of making your bigger item. That's totally fine. So now I'm just going to turn this part so that we can join. Remember, we've got the verticals here with horizontal lines, the horizontal here. I'm going to just put our hook into the chain space and slip stitch to join. So you can see now that one's row 1, these 2 are row 2, and then these 3 here, here and here are going to be row 3. So now we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to work our 3 double crochets into this chain gap here. I'm going to join in this chain space here with a slip stitch and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and again 3 double crochets into this chain space. And there we have row 3 complete. So row 1's there, row 2's there, and row 3 is there. 1, 2, 3. So now we're going to do row 4. Now, as we start with each of these rows, we're going to do chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is on the increase rows. When we actually get to the corner where we've got the size we want for our blanket, we'll start doing decreases. So again, we're going to do our double crochets into chain space 4, 5 and 6. 4, 5, 6. And now we're going to turn our work so that we can slip stitch into the chain space here. Now the corner to corner does look really peculiar to begin with, so it's worth taking your time to gain your confidence with this one. And that's our first grouping for row 4. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, then our 3 double crochets into our chain space. Slip stitch into our chain space of the cluster just next to there. Then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, then 3 double crochets into our chain space. Slip stitch into the chain space of the cluster from the previous row. Chain 3, 3 double crochets into the chain space. And there we have row 4 complete. Beginning row 5, we're going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we are going to make a double crochet into chain 4, 5 and 6. I'm just going to turn our work upwards, and then we can slip stitch into the chain space here of the neighbouring cluster from the previous round. So you can follow along with me. We're going to do a chain 3, then our 3 double crochets into our chain space, and repeat that for the rest of the row. And that's row 5 complete. We're going to continue this pattern until we get to row, and we'll complete rows 6, 7 and 8. And then we're going to do our decreases. So follow along with me. If you need a little recap, do rewind and go at whatever speed suits you best. starting row 7. Beginning row 8. So now we have 8 rows completed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows going diagonally. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start to do some reductions. Now, this starts in a different way. Previously, when we're increasing, we've always started on a chain 6. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to start with slip stitches. So first what we're going to do is chain 1, just to help us turn our work, and then we're going to place a slip stitch here in the top of, in this chain, and then a slip stitch here, and then in the chain gap here. So I'll just bring that a little bit closer for you to see. So top of this chain, in through this chain here, here, so those 3, and then in this chain gap here. Okay, so follow along with me. So just inserting our hook there, you can see the V of our chain there. And then pull through and pull through again, inserting in the next, making our slip stitch, and then into the next chain. And then the 4th one into our chain gap here. Okay. So before our slip stitches, we were over here with our working yarn, and we made our slip stitches to move us up to this corner here, which is the perfect position now to then make our chain 3 and make our first group here. And I'll show you what that looks like. So chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and 3 double crochets into this chain space here. 1, 2 and 3. Now we're going to slip stitch, as we did previously, into the group that neighbours it from the previous round. That's our slip stitch, and we've just joined our first group from row 9 on our decreases. So now we're going to continue across until we get to here, with our typical arrangement of chain 3 and then 3 double crochets into the chain space. 1, 2, 3 chain, and 3 double crochets into the chain space. And if you drop one, just start again like I am. Then slip stitch into the chain space of the next. And that's row 9 completed. You'll notice, because we've defined our corner here, we're also defining our corner here, and that's why we haven't continued on to making any more clusters or groups here. Okay. okay, because we're defining our corner, okay, on our reductions now. So we're going to do chain 1 to get ready to work our row 10, and again we are going to make our slip stitches, 4 slip stitches along here into the chains, 3 chains, and then into the chain gap for the 4th one, and I'll show you what this looks like. That's our 3 slip stitches into chains, and then now into the chain gap here, the chain space. Okay, so we've moved our yarn from here up to here, ready to complete the rest of row 10 in the same way. Chain 3 and 3 double crochets into the chain space, and then slip stitch to secure to the neighbouring cluster. So to begin row 11 in the same way, we do our chain, turn our work, make our 4 slip stitches, and then continue our rows as we've previously been doing. So I'm going to keep going with our reductions until we get to the end here. Row 12, row 13. Row 14. And our last row is going to be row 15, which is just this little group here, this last little cluster. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work, 4 slip stitches again, 1, 2, 3, and the 4th into the chain space. Then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and 3 double crochets into the chain space. And slip stitch into the neighbouring chain space there. And there we have our corner to corner. You can make this as big as you like. You can keep doing your increases until you get the size you want, and then start your decreases when you know you've got your desired measurement. So you can leave your blanket looking beautiful as it is, or if you want to add an edge to it, watch our next video to see how to do a gorgeous edging for your corner to corner blanket.